My daughter says she's ugly because she looks like her dad.
Well, it's about what you look like on the inside, sweetheart.
My husband and I have 3 daughters. They are all absolutely gorgeous. Our oldest, 19, and youngest, 13, look more like me, while our middle daughter, 17, looks like her father. By the way, this comes from user Clove3355, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. I'm Keon.
I'm Dakota.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do, so please, 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 let us know what you do in the comments below. My husband definitely has more strong and unique features, but I find him incredibly good looking, which is why I even married him. Our middle daughter, however, has decided that her father is ugly. And by looking like him, so is she. Ooh. I feel very sad that she's trying to compare herself to BS beauty standards. Unfortunately, she's also been teased at school. Oh no, and while we managed to stop that, it hasn't helped the issue. Our daughter's problems with her appearance started when she was around 12, and despite therapy and us trying various techniques recommended by therapists, her attitude is unchanged. But it's really escalated the past few years when she started blaming her father for inheriting his genes. I have shut her down every time, but my husband just lets her blame him if I'm not around. That sucks. Recently, my poor husband broke down in tears while we were in bed and said he felt really guilty that our daughter looks like him and that he can't help that he's ugly. No. He has never had issues with his appearance before and was always very confident. I was completely crushed. My husband also said that we should maybe look into paying for some of the plastic surgery our daughter has demanded. I disagree with that completely, and we fought over it. The next day, I confronted my daughter and I told her I understand she has serious self-esteem issues, but she's being cruel to her father. This triggered a meltdown from her, and she hasn't talked to any of us since. She hasn't left her room in nearly 2 weeks. She won't even eat unless one of us leaves food outside her door. My husband is gutted and is still blaming himself. Was I wrong to say what I did? And we have some relevant comments and the verdict, which is from that comments, but we'll get that in a second. What do you say? If your daughter or your son was like, "You gave me this face, I look hideous because of you."
Well, I think, first of all, I'd be like, you're 17. You're not going to look like this forever. You look like you're 17. And yet you want plastic surgery. You got to wait until you're in your late 20s, because that's when you really actually settle into your appearance and your face, I think. And if at that point you're still like viciously unhappy with the way you look, well, you can do plastic surgery. But I think the root of the problem isn't really how you look. It's how you look at yourself.
Let's read these relevant comments. And again, the verdict says not the a-hole for what OP did. 3 to the head says, as someone said it, it's just a genetic lottery, and she got what she thinks is the short end of the stick. Reading this makes me grateful that my kid doesn't blame me for suffering from a genetic illness that makes my kid unable to do most day-to-day things that other teenagers do. That being said, you and your husband are definitely not a-holes, and your kid obviously needs more help than what she's been getting in terms of therapy. It sounds like it goes deeper than just being a bratty 17-year-old. I'm going to vote no a-holes here because we don't know the extent of your child's mental health at this time. I hope she gets the help she needs from a therapist that looks deeper. OP responds with, we have tried a few different therapists, but none have helped. It's been so emotionally draining for years. Milsery T says not the a-hole, but also have you thought of getting her checked for body dysmorphic disorder? Granted, I've had self-esteem issues my entire life and also look like my dad, but I've never felt it was his fault, and this just seems way over the top even for just regular teenage self-esteem problems. OP responds with, she's been evaluated for it, but it's not the case. The therapist says she's looking to blame someone for something out of her control, but I think it's very unfair that my husband has to bear that burden. Mucho Mango says, not the a-hole. Being a teenager is the worst, and when my self-esteem was at an all-time low, so in that sense, I sympathize with your daughter. However, unless she's entirely self-controlled or dumb, then she knows that what she's doing is hurtful and wrong. If she's already been to various therapists, then sadly, I'm not sure what would be the next step, but it's clear she does need help. Whatever you do, please don't pay for her plastic surgery. That's only rewarding her crappy behavior. She's almost 18. If she wants it that badly, she can get a job and start saving to pay for it herself. OP responds with, It's not even a matter of paying for the surgery. What she wants sounds very dangerous. One surgery is shaving her jaw down. Practical West says, I don't know, I might have to go with everyone sucks here. What? If she's getting bullied and wants jaw shaving surgery, that makes me think of Bruce Willis and Demi Moore's 3 daughters. They all look like Bruce, and Rumor, the daughter, was horribly bullied about her face, jaw in particular. I agree the daughter's being horrible to her father, blaming him, but sometimes what is attractive or accepted as a quirky look on a man is not accepted on a woman. But is it possible that between her being your daughter as well as resembling your husband, you aren't acknowledging that? I do think she should wait and see if she grows into her face. But I wouldn't say that she shouldn't ever have surgery, however, if that's what she still wants. OP replies, she doesn't have the average feminine features, yes, and it's a strong jaw. And I hate that she doesn't like it, but she truly is very striking. And an absolutely gorgeous side profile. But since I'm her mother, I get dismissed. The surgeries she wants do not sound safe at all. And she's still so young, and we have an update.
That's what I was saying, is it's like, sure, if you really want to do that when you get older, then do it. But it's like, you really don't need to. There's very few people who like would actually benefit from plastic surgery.
But there's also the thing of, what if the surgery's botched, and she's still
Right.
growing into her face? Like I would take her to like a surgeon, a plastic surgeon, and be like, hey, she wants to do this. What could happen? What are the negative aspects of doing this? If she really is set on it, when should she do it? For like women in their young age, when should plastic surgery actually be an option? Because I have a couple of friends who did plastic surgery for their noses, and they wanted to do it for a while.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the most probably common.
That's the most common
like
one.
That or maybe like lip filler or something.
Yeah. And they're like, I couldn't do it so young because I was still growing into my full face. They said early 20s. But again, when she's an adult, she's an adult. She can just do whatever she wants.
I used to want to have plastic surgery for my
what?
nose because I have a nose that goes up, and I'd always wanted one that was like
Down.
like the strong nose. Everybody has that stuff, and I just like grew into it, and it's fine.
Come on, girly.
It's fine.
Okay. We do have an update, December 8th, 2020, 3 months later. It's headed in the positive direction mostly. My daughter ended up moving to my parents' house last month. And while my husband and I were upset, the space definitely helped ease the tension at home. I go see her every day on a walk, but she's still holding a grudge against her father and refuses to see him, which makes him incredibly sad. But one thing that was brought up in the last point was something that made me angry at first, but after a few days, I saw the point. I love my children with all my heart, and to me, they're all incredibly beautiful. But I think I'm doing a disservice to my daughter by insisting to her that she is beautiful and not really trying to see her point of view. I am very attracted to my husband and find him handsome. But objectively, he doesn't have traditional beautiful features. And my daughter has inherited those features. So I no longer try to convince my daughter that she's as beautiful as her sisters. Because she's right that as her mother, I don't see her how she sees herself. And I can't really relate to her or to how she's feeling because I've never had those thoughts. My husband and I have agreed to let our daughter have a consultation with a plastic surgeon once the pandemic is over. And we will pay for some of the procedures if she wants. But we did agree that jaw shaving is not a procedure we will be paying for. As much as it'll unalive me that she wants to change the face I love and saw grow up, it's clearly a face that is ruining her mental health. And it's her choice what she wants to do with her body. I'd rather pay for a proper surgeon than for her to do some cheap illegal procedure elsewhere. My next steps are convincing my husband to get mental help himself for all the negative emotions he's been harboring for a while. That's another challenge, that's for sure. By the way, I have a challenge for you to listen to all the episodes with stories just like this one. That's my challenge. Just go to your favorite podcast apps such as Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and search up OK Storytime.
I feel like this girl's brain isn't fully developed, and a lot of these things and thoughts and feelings are coming from a place of just like not understanding what's important in life, and it's not possible to understand it when you're that age, really, oftentimes, because you're just in this little microscopic version of reality called high school.
Yeah, here's what I'm really, really, really scared of. She does the plastic surgery. Great. She hates it. She still hates her face.
Right.
What now? You're like, you did the one thing that was like, you're banking on it. Like, this is going to change my life. It might. Who knows? It might. But if she gets a botched surgery or she hates it.
You have to be able to own it first before you just like rely on like some sort of outside thing to fix you.
Let's finish this story. And even more difficult is how to fix the relationship between my husband and my daughter. I'm just at a loss for that. I need to get them in a room with a therapist, and I will be working on it. Final comments here. Commenter number 1 says, glad to hear that you've taken her insecurities seriously, but I would strongly recommend for therapy first before a consultation with a plastic surgeon, because she's still a minor. Good luck. OP says, she's been going to therapy for several years now. Commenter number 2, thank you for responding, and a very good thing if the therapy is about her self-image, but very troubling if she's still blaming her father for the way she looks, especially while in therapy. Is family therapy an option in this case? What does the therapist say about plastic surgery? OP responds with, that's kind of the issue right now. I want to get family therapy, but she's refusing. We're hoping that taking her to a plastic surgery consultation will show that we are acting in good faith, and she'll agree to have a dialogue with how she's treating her father. We've done family therapy in the past, but this was before she was blaming her father. OP says, once again, told her daughter most likely has body dysmorphic disorder and is handling this wrong. And OP responds with, I find statements like this really bizarre because I've even stated in my original post that my daughter has been evaluated by professionals, yes, multiple, and she does not have body dysmorphic disorder. Believe it or not, I have more of an interest in the well-being of my child than you, some random person online. And all decisions my husband and I have made have been guided by mental health professionals and doctors. Just because you're here accusing me of not caring about my daughter doesn't make it true. I mean, that's why OP's going to the internet, because she's gone to every corner. She's probably gone to family, friends, many professionals, and they're just all baffled of like, we don't know why she really hates, like, she must really hate her dad for some other reason other than her looks, but maybe that it's just her looks. I don't know. I think you're navigating this in a very delicate way, which it should be handled. It sucks that she is just one tunnel vision of dad's ugly, which comes back to me, which makes me ugly. Nothing's going to change that until I get plastic surgery. No professional's going to tell me different. My mental health is fine. I don't have the body dysmorphic disorder. I'm just ugly because of dad, and that's that, which is just,
yeah.
I think there's more to it, but if that's what everyone says, that's crazy.
My father's wife faked being sick and ruined his life.
That's pretty sick.
For context, my dad, 65 male, has been married 3 times. Me, 26 female, and my siblings, Leo, 23 male, and Vanessa, 24 female, come from his first marriage. When I was 21, he married his 3rd wife, Francine, 65 female. Over the years of their marriage until this year, I always thought Francine was strange. By the way, this comes from user Educational Dog 6946. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Keon.
And we are here to give you good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We don't know how to fix your ruined life. Always. If your wife lied about your being ill or something, I don't know. We only know what we would do or what we would think. So if you would do or say or think something else, just put it in the comments. Let us know. Little things like not allowing our stepsister, Hannah, 18 female, to drink juice or make comments about how much she was eating when she was 12 or 13. Later, I found out Hannah was struggling as a teenager with an eating disorder. Francine never showed much interest in myself, Vanessa, or Leo. This was fine with us, since we were adults by the time she came into our lives. She was at birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving, but never really gave anything more than a joint gift with our father. She would leave early from theater productions we participated in, never made it to rugby games, and only ever asked us when we are going to have children and get married. That was all she cared about. Francine always had quote-unquote health problems. She always overreacted to our perfume, shampoo, or the smell of tobacco on our clothes. My mom and grandmother, who had primary care of us, were smokers. So since they were married, me and my siblings barely ever saw my dad, in case we sent Francine into some kind of allergy shock. Her allergies were different every time we see her. corn syrup, red dye number 5, yogurt, peanuts, the list goes on. And things I'll see her eating the next time I see her. Fast forward to this past year of 2022, Francine was quote-unquote diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in April and was given a year to live. My siblings and I made sure we supported our distraught father, who was very upset and taking the news very hard. Later that year, in December, my grandmother was also diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. For further context, I was Grandma's favorite, her favorite grandkid. We shared a bedroom for most of my life. She would babysit me when my mom needed a break, and I love to say that my grandma was my first love, the person I learned to love before I even understood how to love my parents. She meant so much to me, and she progressively and very quickly got sicker and weaker. I took a leave of absence from work to help my mom care for her on hospice until she passed away in early February of 2023. And I took the loss very, very hard. I was in therapy twice a week. The weeks after she passed, my family and I were all trying to get our lives together without our main support system. My sister went on medication for her mental health. My brother fought to get a promotion at work. And I had turned 26 that January and started mapping out my future with my long-term boyfriend, including what to do about health insurance at the end of the year when I was no longer covered by Francine's plan. Here's where I might be an a-hole. I texted Francine asking if there was a date I was going to be taken off so I could cement my plans, so I was covered. She sent me a 3-paragraph essay about how she had cancer, and the only time I ever texted her was because I needed something. I told her that was true because, and I quote, "Let's face it, you are as interested in me as I am in you. You never reached out when my grandmother passed away, knowing full well my relationship with her, or when my other grandma passed away early 2022. You never ask about me or anything in my life and don't even know I'm coming up on my graduation date for nursing school or know how I'm doing in general. How dare you come at me when you haven't even checked yourself? Be an adult and admit we aren't even friends, let alone family. The phone works 2 ways, and if you wanted to have a relationship with me that bad, you should have tried when I was 21. In private, I told my siblings, my mother, friends, and boyfriend that I think she is lying about having cancer. A thought first stated by my mother, and later my boyfriend in 2 separate conversations. She claims to be allergic to the chemo and is doing coffee enemas and juice cleanses she claims are helping her cancer. Yeah, she's absolutely full of it.
That's crazy. One, nice text back, OP. That's a pretty good, you called her out. But
Yeah.
also, that's insane that she says, I can't do chemo. I'm allergic to that. But
Dude.
juice enemas and coffee enemas, boy, I feel spry and 25 again. Get all that poopy out of me. They took the cancer out of me.
That's just crazy, dude. That's just insane. It's like,
Especially when you just lost one of your most beloved parts of your family to that specific type of cancer. And boy.
She claims she got surgery, but I see no scar. Not only that, but she was diagnosed with the same thing my grandmother was, and over a year later, Francine doesn't even look sick, and even took a month-long trip to upstate New York and Canada with my father in August of 2023. She sent us a photo of her and my father and looks and is acting completely healthy. I asked my siblings honestly if they think she has it, and Leo agreed that it's fishy, and Vanessa wouldn't answer either way, asking why would our dad lie to us. I pointed out that Dad seems like he never goes to the doctor appointments with Francine and just tells us what she says. And when asked further questions, he says he doesn't know or sighs and shakes his head. In recent events, Hannah has apologized to me for her mother's behavior, saying that she has no idea what her mother's issues are. Francine is currently trying to get my father and Hannah to move to upstate New York, where she stayed with family since their trip because the air is healthier for her healing process. My father and Hannah blatantly said they will not go. Am I the a-hole? And there is an author's note here. I just want to say I have no ill will towards this woman because she married my dad. I'm up in arms about it because I feel like she's manipulating my dad. All the comments about me thinking she's an evil stepmother and that I have an issue with her because she's married my dad just isn't true. My parents getting a divorce was one of the best things they ever did for me. Thinking of them being together with their differences and having heard them argue towards the end of the relationship, I would not have benefited as a child if they had stayed together. I always liked my mom's boyfriends except one guy that hurt her feelings pretty bad. And I loved my dad's second wife. I never even minded that my parents dated and saw other people. That being said, my only problem with Francine is I believe she is manipulating all of us. That maybe she is sick in her head. I made this post more to make sure that I wasn't fully insane and that her behavior is suspicious. I don't like her, not because she's married to my dad, but because her personality makes it hard to even be friendly. And none of this is about the insurance. She holds it over our heads and threatened to take myself, my siblings, and my dad off of it. And there is additional information from OP, an example of Francine's behaviors here in the comments. But yeah, I don't know. I'm calling it out. I'm calling it out.
I'd be like, hey, Dad, have you seen the doctor's results? Like, did she actually go to a doctor? Not like a specialist, like, for the enemas, which is crazy. But
she doesn't go to a specialist for that. I bet she does it in her freaking bathroom. She's just shoving coffee grounds up her butt and being like, I'm cured. That's absurd.
No, I would say, because especially it's been a year or so, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit less, and she hasn't shown any signs. I would have just called your dad and be like, what, like, how's she doing? What are her signs? And like, what has the doctor's been saying?
Because
if the dad says, oh, I've been to the doctor with her and, we've seen the test results, that's one thing. But if your dad says, oh, yeah, she's been going to the doctors and she told me this from the doctor.
Well, of course, it's, I doubt she's even going to a doctor.
That's what I'm saying.
To be clear, and I'm sorry if this is, anyone who with a cancer diagnosis, stay strong. And this, this could be triggering to hear all this talk about cancer. But it's like stage 4 is when it's gone far throughout the body, where it's like you could have, lung cancer, but now you've got cancer in your like legs, wherever. Like it's moved to other parts. So the fact that this woman is being like, oh, I need to move to upstate New York for the air. It's like, that's not gonna help you if you have stage 4. It's not gonna do anything. It's really, realistically, it's not gonna do anything if you have stage 1. Like, you have to treat this stuff. And it's ridiculous to me that your dad, I would just go to my dad and be like, look, I'm just worried about this woman's ability to just like pull the wool over your eyes. She's hurting you. I don't care that you're married to her. I care that you're married to someone who is hurting you actively.
Yeah, but I feel like Dad's gonna not care. Dad's like, oh, this is my wife.
He should care.
This is my wife.
Yeah, she's lying to you about
no, honey. Respect my wife.
Ever.
Respect my wife, honey.
It could be coming from a place of mental illness, but I can't imagine myself staying with somebody who could do this to me. I just can't.
What do you know? You're just a kid.
OP says, I want to add this story as well about Francine. Our first Thanksgiving together, Francine left in a rage because she made us go around the table and say what we were thankful for. My brother said that I live in a safe place, and my sister said, for my family. I said, for my friends. Francine took that as a jab at her and left, saying, well, I guess I'm not welcome here. And I guess I'm not your family because you don't want to love with me. We were all genuinely confused, and when she came back, Vanessa told her outright she was crazy for thinking it was a jab at her, and it had nothing to do with her. Francine is bat shice crazy. I swear to God. There's more relevant comments here. Comment 1 says, I don't think you're the a-hole for answering Francine like you did, but I would lay off of accusing her to other people of lying about her lung cancer. OP says, that's fair, but please know it wasn't just my thought that came from nowhere. There are lots that don't line up, and I do hear what you're saying. Francine undergoing any treatments? OP says, Francine isn't undergoing any kind of treatment and said she was allergic to chemo, so I assumed she would have left us by now. Apparently, a holistic doctor told her she could cure it with enemas and a juice cleanse. I don't know. I just think a lot of stuff she's telling us doesn't line up, and I get the sense that my dad doesn't even fully know either. I'll keep you and your comments in mind while I process a lot of this. And I have seen alternative medicine work, or like alternative practice. Like, it was a friend, one of my friend's aunts. And it wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to drink juice. It was like complete dietary change, very strict like regimen of like certain vitamins. It was like, like a whole, it was overall, a whole shebang.
It was a complete overall of like your life.
Right.
Much.
And it did. And it she went into remission and she was cancer free. And I believe, she was in remission for quite a while and it didn't end up coming back. But it's like you can get that same exact result with traditional cancer treatment. You can even get results where, people be like, oh, that doesn't work. It's like there's also times where like, you're not receptive to chemo. It's like it truly is not like a one size fits all solution. But regardless, it's like this. I don't think this person is. I don't think she's telling the truth.
Until until OP can on both ends, until it can be proven 110% that she either A, has it or doesn't have it, we can't just be like assuming. We can't just be like, I mean, it makes a lot of sense if you line it up with OP's facts, but you can't just be like, she doesn't have it or she does have it. It's just like I need proof. I need data. I need all that proof, which sucks, but especially with her with all the allergies and everything, I wouldn't take that. I would take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah. There's a downvoted commenter here. You're 26 years old, and on top of letting Daddy and Francine pay for your cell phone and health insurance this whole time, you're only getting your own policy now because you've hit the age limit. You're something else.
What?
What an idiot. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What?
Opie says, I'm on my own phone plan. When I wasn't, my dad actually talked me into staying on it because I was in school and they got a discount because I'm a student. And the reason why I'm on the insurance is because A, I can because my daddy likes knowing I'm covered. And B, because it'll cost me 3/4 of my monthly income to get my own. I'm getting my own now because yes, the clock has struck. But can I afford it and finish school? I don't know. I might be out of luck. Francine holding my insurance is the only amount of support she's shown me. I don't know if you know this, but it takes more than that to have a relationship with someone. Another commenter says, follow the money. In my opinion, not the a-hole to call her out if you see shady things happening with finances or really anything that can cause material impact to your father. Talk to Dad about the will, any trusts, any changes to estate, etc. Otherwise, I wouldn't bother giving her that energy. Opie says, I never thought about all that. I'm going to ask my sister to ask him about it since they're closer. Third commenter says, so you're in nursing school, but I guess that chapter wasn't in the exams. So you never bothered. The combination of foods can give you an allergic reaction, or even things you've had for years can suddenly do that due to a compromised immune system or a system in overdrive or a new component in the item. Another chapter you missed, unless you have chemo, you don't necessarily look bad, even with lung cancer. I think your story is BS. She had a kid at 46 or 47. Let's pretend that is true. I guess that you also missed the chapter where women after pregnancy can be led with a lot of health issues, especially a much older woman. She gets it from giving a joint gift with your father. That's what married couples do. From your description, I'd say she's an old lady with a compromised immune system and possibly hypochondriac, but definitely autistic. She has you in her health insurance, saving you thousands, yet you call your mom and grandma your only support system. What do you expect a stranger, paraphrasing from you, to do? She's not your friend, she's not your family, but hey, let's save tens of thousands on her back. You know what? This is the only country in the world, I think, where people are so weird about health insurance. Where it's like a personal failing if you're not willing to buy into a busted system that makes no sense.
We don't know if OP's from the States, but
we
got New York. We got New York.
They are. And it's like, because this is like the only place where that's a thing.
It's really bad.
It's crazy. And it's crazy that people are brainwashed into thinking you're a bag for not wanting to immediately just like drop a fourth or a third or half of your paycheck every month.
The failed system.
For freaking, yeah. It's insane. Add to the fact that, yeah, she is not interested in you. Gosh, I wonder why. You sound like a dream stepdaughter. And yeah, she's not going to put herself into a position of having to deal with you longer than she has to. I feel like this is coming from a triggered stepmother. You're all effing adults, and she gets guff from you from coming to your rugby match but not staying for the whole duration of it. You're the a-hole. Of course, she can be exaggerating. Of course, she could be making the whole thing about herself. But even if she's pretending about the whole cancer thing, everyone sucks here. You're not innocent or nice. You're not innocent or nice. Even if she's passing away, she's not going to accept you suddenly driving her to her doctor's appointment. she is only good enough for you when you need something, and she needs nothing from you. OP says, I'm not that far in my schooling yet. When I said I had a graduation date, it was my projected plan. Yes, she had a kid that late. Nothing like Reddit to diagnose my dad's wife with autism. What a weird thing to say. Here's the thing. She's never acted like my family. There are things in addition to theater, matches, and gifts that prove that. For example, later, when I tell her, she never talks to me. Since this happened in February, I haven't spoken to her. I'm sorry, but I don't owe her anything when my dad had us be put on the insurance, a thing she threatens him with. Whenever she gets upset, she threatens to take all of us, including him, off of the plan as part of his child support. He got to pay my mom less by getting us health insurance. Again, I'm not bothered she wasn't interested in me because, like I said, I wasn't interested in her as well. A lot of the examples I gave were just that, examples. I can give examples of myself not being interested in her either. As for the support system comment, I never said my dad isn't supportive or that Francine isn't supportive in other ways. Just uninterested in me as a person to the point where the only thing we have in common or know about each other is on an insurance card. My grandmother was my A1 since day one and acted as a second mother to me. That's what I meant when I said main support system. Main doesn't mean only. Francine, again, only cares if I'm having a baby and when. It's literally the only thing she asks me. Anything else, all of these other examples are things she never asks me about. I return the energy, so I don't ask her either. The fact that she freaked out on me as if we had this lifelong connection made me freak the F out on her the way I did. I don't know why people keep calling her my stepmom when I blatantly made the distinction she is my dad's wife. There are a lot of step-parents in these comments that are mad at me about this post. LMAO. Yeah, that's exactly it. Bunch of triggered step-parents. And it's, whatever. Honestly, this is why half the time when I'm on the internet and I see a comment I want to reply to, I'm just like, there's no reason to even reply.
Don't put the energy out there, yeah.
Don't need to.
You don't deserve my energy.
Unless it's funny, and unless it's just a goof, there's no need to reply. It's not serious.
The only time I like replying to comments is if I have the whole fact of shutting them up. Like, oh, this guy is talking about the Philippines. He's not Filipino. You're like,
let's get into this update. Oh boy, it's been a long time, and I went back and read some comments on my original post. I'll give y'all the short version of what's happened in the last year. To keep it short, she lied. My dad and her had an ugly divorce that ended with my father being homeless. Francine winded up revealing that she owed over $60,000 to her ex in alimony, and he was taking the house where her, my father, and sister were living. The week of Thanksgiving last year, she booted them both out, and they were both homeless up until August of this year. Before anyone asks, no, I didn't have the means to help them. The entire thing was crazy. She broke off the key in the lock to stop them from getting their things, stole a bunch of money from my dad, and bought a house in New York, destroying my dad's credit, and so many other petty and disgusting things. Yet she is still alive, and yes, she was questioned about her illness, but she's fine. My dad, realizing everything was a lie, was very upsetting to watch. In my opinion, she destroyed his life. By the way, it won't destroy you to listen to full episodes with stories like this. Just go to your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio or Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and search OK Storytime, and you too can listen to a bunch of insane crap like this.
There is a special place for people who, one, lie about the big C, and two, who do this to can do this to anybody and just live their life. That is insane. There's a special place for them.
I would hope it's prison. Can we just institute a new island like where people used to get shipped when they had leprosy? Just an island of people like this woman.
You mean Australia?
Just just a straight up we can build an island like how China's been building all those islands so that they can take claim over certain territory. But we can just build an island and have all of the just awful people live on that island together.
I'm not wrong about that, right? They sent a lot of lepers, but also
I know that the British Empire sent people who were criminals to Australia.
They sent just a lot of people that they not fit for.
Yeah, they were just we're sending you to Australia. to serve out your sentence.
Survive the wildlife.
And then I think yeah, essentially they were just like, yeah, whatever, just stay there forever. We don't care.
Those people were like, we're hardcore. We tamed the animals.
So to everyone who said I was the a-hole, suck wee wee. I have officially started my clinicals and hope to wind up in peds oncology after graduation. I think about my grandmother all the time and wish she was alive to talk to her about everything. Comment 1 says, you can't just be booted out of where you legally live. OP replies, Francine's name and her ex's were the ones on the papers for the house. Ooh, so she actually didn't break any laws. Dang. Comment 2 says, as someone who has been in the cancer world from the time I was 16, I'm 27 at the end of the month, going into pediatric oncology is amazing. My nurses were some of the only people who kept me sane during my long stays, and I could never thank them enough. I actually named my service dog after my favorite nurse, who would come in early to snag my chart from whoever was on my night shift. That said, in regards to everything else, I'm so sorry. Is there anything your father can do legally against Francine, like prove she prevented him from obtaining his property and then the theft? OP says, I am genuinely very excited about my career. Comment 3 says, your father chose this woman over his own kids. It's pretty clear what kind of man he is. He's getting exactly what he deserves. I have no sympathy for him. What's up with all these just like awful comments?
People are just very black and white today, where it's just like one or the other. What are we calling out dad for?
I mean, like I said, if he had found out she was lying and didn't divorce her, then I would have a problem.
He probably got it all at the same time.
Is OP's father taking his ex to court? OP says, for what I heard, he is. Taking her to court and taking her crap is why she fled the state and got crap under my dad's name. And that is the end of that story.